All right, let's talk about one of the wildest and most misunderstood stories in crypto, Tron. You see, it started out with this massive, world-changing dream, but ended up becoming something completely different, and maybe even more important, almost by accident. This is the story of an accidental financial superhighway. So, picture this. It's 2017, the crypto boom is in full swing, and Tron bursts onto the scene with a promise that was frankly huge. They were going to take on the biggest names in the game. We're talking YouTube, Netflix, Facebook, the whole shebang. The idea? To build this brand new, decentralized web where creators, not big corporations, were in charge. It was an absolutely massive, almost ridiculously ambitious goal.
But yeah, that's not what happened. Not even close. That dream of a decentralized YouTube, it just didn't really pan out. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Tron stumbled into a completely different role, one that quietly made it one of the most used blockchains in the entire world, just not for the reason anybody thought it would be.
So let's look at Tron's dream versus its reality. This shift from a decentralized web to global payments. The project was founded by Justin Sun, who was famously a protege of Alibaba's Jack Ma, so it had a ton of hype right from the start. But while the big dream was all about this new creative internet, what it actually became, well, it became about money, plain and simple. It turned into the world's favorite network for zipping digital dollars around the globe. And that's really the key takeaway here. Seriously, for the rest of this conversation, just park the whole decentralized web idea. Because today, right now, Tron is the global stablecoin settlement layer. It's the plumbing, the pipes that make the world of digital dollars work. And this is where its real story, the one that matters today, truly kicks off. All right, let's get into it. This stablecoin superhighway powering the world of digital dollars. So what does this superhighway actually look like in practice? Well, the numbers here are honestly staggering. It's a machine built for one thing and one thing only, moving money as fast and as cheap as humanly possible. Okay, get ready for this number. We're talking more than $22 billion. That's billion with a B. That's how much in the stablecoin USDT moves across Tron every single day. To put that in perspective, that volume just completely dwarfs what a lot of other big-name blockchains, even Ethereum, are doing on a daily basis. And look, this isn't just a handful of whales moving massive amounts of cash back and forth. No way. We're talking over 335 million registered wallets. That number tells you something really important. This is real people using the network. This is genuine, honest-to-God mass adoption, not just a bunch of traders speculating.
So you have to ask, why? Why Tron? What's the secret sauce? It's ridiculously simple. The fees. It is dirt cheap to use. I mean, look at this. The average transaction costs something like $0.0003. It's basically free. And if you're sending money frequently, that's not just a nice feature, it's an absolute game changer.
And check this out. This chart really drives the point home. This shows Tron's share of the global supply of USDT, which is, the biggest stablecoin on the planet. And Tron holds nearly half of all of it. Just let that sink in. Almost half of the world's most popular digital dollar lives on this one network. That's an insane amount of market dominance.
So why does this even matter? Who are these millions of users? Well, this is the real story. We're talking about people in places like Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa. They're using Tron for stuff that many of us in other parts of the world just take for granted. Sending money back home to their families, getting paid as a freelancer from a client halfway across the world, or just trying to protect their savings from runaway inflation. This isn't some abstract theoretical crypto use case. For millions of people, this is a financial lifeline. It's real. Okay, so we've seen the what, now let's get into the how. How on earth does Tron actually work? How does it manage to be so fast and so cheap? Well, the secret is in the engine room, in its core design, and it's all about some pretty big trade-offs they made to get this kind of performance. The system Tron uses is called Delegated Proof of Stake, or DPoS. Now, instead of having thousands of computers all over the world competing to validate transactions, Tron does something different. It's more like a republic. The network elects just 27, you heard that right, 27 super representatives to do all the work. Now, this makes things incredibly fast and efficient. But, and this is a huge but, it also means the network is way more centralized. And that's probably the single biggest criticism leveled against Tron.
Here's another clever trick. Tron doesn't really have gas fees in the way Ethereum does. Instead, it has this resource model with two things: bandwidth and energy.
The best way to think about it is like a prepaid cell phone plan. You get a little bit of free bandwidth every day for simple stuff. But for the more complex things like sending USDT, you need energy. And how do you get energy? You stake Tron's own token, TRX. By locking up some TRX, you're basically prepaying for your future transactions. It makes them feel free when you actually send them, which is a brilliant piece of design. All right, let's talk about the TRX token itself, the native currency of the network, because all of this activity we've been talking about has led to a really fascinating and kind of unique economic situation. It's a deflationary engine. Put simply, the more people use Tron, the less TRX there is in the world. So here's how that works. Every year, about 500 million new TRX tokens are created to reward those super representatives. That's the issuance, the inflation. But look at the other bar on this chart. The amount of TRX that gets burned, just completely destroyed from transaction fees, is now consistently more than 500 million. We're officially in a situation where more tokens are being removed from circulation than are being created. What does that mean? It means the total supply of TRX is actually shrinking. We're talking about an annual deflation rate of somewhere between roughly 1.7 and almost 3%. And that is a really powerful economic dynamic. It's built right into the system. As network usage grows, the token itself just gets scarcer and scarcer. Okay, let's pull all this together. The investment case, bulls versus bears. We've got this picture of massive, real-world utility on one side and this cool deflationary token on the other. Sounds like a slam dunk, right? Well, this is where things get complicated. Because for every powerful bullish argument, there's a pretty scary risk lurking in the shadows. Let's start with the bull case. And it is strong. You can't argue with the numbers. We're talking over $1 billion in revenue in a single quarter. You've got that insane market share and stablecoins we already talked about. You've got the token supply that's verifiably shrinking. And now you're starting to see some serious institutional moves, like an actual ETF filing for staked TRX, and even a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ that's tied to the ecosystem. That's a powerful combination. But then you have to look at the other side of the coin, and the risks here are major, no question about it. First and foremost, there's an ongoing lawsuit from the SEC. They're accusing founder Justin Sun and the Tron Foundation of selling unregistered securities and wash trading. That's huge. Then you've got reports from major outlets and even the United Nations raising concerns about Tron's use in illicit finance. Add to that the centralization we talked about and the founder's own separate legal troubles, and you've got a lot of red flags. So where does that leave us? It really boils down to this one central question. Is Tron a critical piece of global financial plumbing, an indispensable tool for millions of people around the world? Or is it a super high-stakes bet on a deeply controversial network with a mountain of legal and reputational baggage? The data supports the first claim. The headlines support the second. And whichever one of those you find more convincing, well, that's the story of Tron.